Okay, so let's get right into it. We're going to talk about hacking your brain's motivation, specifically how to take those tasks you absolutely dread and turn them into something your brain actually, wants to do. And we're going to do it with a really cool framework called the N.I.C.E. method. I mean, seriously, think about this for a second. It's a feeling we all know, right? You can sink into a video game, lose all track of time, and then realize, whoa, it's been 8 hours. But that one single basket of laundry, it might as well be a mountain. It just sits there for days, and you just can't bring yourself to touch it. And this right here is maybe the most important thing to get. If you feel that way, it doesn't mean you're lazy. It doesn't mean your brain is broken. It just means you're running on a different operating system. It's not a character flaw. It's just a difference in brain chemistry.
So let's talk about that operating system. Because for some of us, our brains just aren't motivated by things because they're important. That doesn't work. They are wired biologically to go after what's interesting. And that is the absolute core reason why a game is so easy to get into and a chore feels impossible.
So you can kind of see the two systems side by side here. An importance-based brain can look at a to-do list, see what's a priority, and just do it, power through. But an interest-based brain, it needs more. It's constantly scanning for something new, something challenging, something urgent. Without that, a boring task is literally like kryptonite. Your brain just bounces right off it. So what's actually going on under the hood? Well, it all comes down to your brain's reward system. And that system runs on a very, very powerful chemical fuel. Let's take a look at that engine. And that fuel is dopamine. It's the neurotransmitter that's in charge of motivation, of focus, of feeling rewarded. Now, if you're someone who has lower or more up and down levels of it, like many folks with ADHD, your brain is basically a dopamine hunter. It's always looking for a quick hit just to feel engaged and online. And this explains everything about the video game versus laundry problem. A video game is literally a dopamine factory. It's designed to give you constant little rewards. Laundry, on the other hand, well, it offers pretty much zero dopamine. So to your brain, it feels like this impossible, soul-crushing task. And wow, look at this chart. It really just lays it all out, doesn't it? The difference in the chemical payoff is huge. From your brain's perspective, it's not even a choice. Why on earth would it pick the chore that gives it nothing when there's something else right there that gives it so much? Okay, so what do we do about this? We can't rewire our brains, but what we can do is change the tasks themselves. And this is where the N.I.C.E. method comes in. Seriously, think of this like a cheat code for your real-life to-do list. The whole framework is built around the 4 things that an interest-based brain absolutely loves. We're going to learn how to inject one of these elements, or maybe more than one, into any task to make your brain actually want to do it. All right, let's get practical. Let's break down each part of N.I.C.E. This is your new 4-move combo for taking down procrastination for good. First up, N is for new. You have to understand an interest-based brain is basically allergic to boredom. The moment something becomes a routine, the dopamine just vanishes. So the trick is to fight that by intentionally adding a little bit of novelty. And this doesn't have to be some huge life-altering change. It can be super simple. Got a report to write? Don't do it at your desk. Take your laptop to a coffee shop. Folding laundry? Don't do it in the living room like always. Do it in the bedroom. Even just opening a window for some fresh air can be enough of a sensory shift to trick your brain into re-engaging. Okay, next up is I for interest. Let's be real, some tasks are just never going to be interesting on their own. But you can attach something you find interesting to that boring task. It's a brilliant technique called temptation bundling. Here's how it works in real life. You make a deal with yourself. You pair something you have to do with something you really want to do. So maybe you save your absolute favorite, can't wait to hear it podcast, and the only time you're allowed to listen to it is while you're cleaning the kitchen. All of a sudden, cleaning isn't the point anymore. The podcast is. Now for C, challenge. Our brains love, love, love a good game. We're wired to be competitive, even if it's just against ourselves. And you can totally tap into that by turning a massive, overwhelming task into a little mini game. This one's one of my personal favorites. Instead of staring at a messy room and thinking, ugh, I have to clean all of this, you just ask a different question. You say, I wonder how many things I can put away in just 5 minutes, and set a timer. Or you break a project down into tiny levels. Level 1 is just opening the document. Level 2 is writing the title. Each little win gives you a tiny hit of dopamine, which builds momentum to tackle the next level. And finally, E is for emergency. You ever notice that you have this superhuman level of focus right before a big deadline? It's like you suddenly activate this hidden God mode of productivity. That's because that external pressure, that urgency, forces your brain to snap into focus. And we can create that on purpose.
You can actually manufacture this feeling. Pick a real deadline for yourself, something reasonable. Then you tell someone. Text a friend and say, hey, I'm going to send you a picture of my clean kitchen by 8 p.m. tonight. Just that little bit of social pressure, that external accountability, is often the perfect trigger to flip the switch from I'll do it later to I'm doing this now.
So look, the big takeaway here is that this isn't about brute forcing your way through things you hate. It's about changing the game. You're not doing chores anymore. You're mastering your daily quests by learning to speak your brain's language. So let's do a super quick recap of your N.I.C.E. strategy. To fight off that boredom, you make it new. To make it more engaging, you bundle it with interest. To get yourself motivated, you turn it into a challenge. And to break through that feeling of being stuck, you create an emergency. I want to leave you with this idea because it's so powerful. Maybe your brain just wasn't built for the long, boring, monotone marathon of modern work. Maybe it's a sprinter's brain, built for short, intense, interesting bursts of focus. The moment you stop fighting against that wiring and start working with it, well, that's when everything can change.
So I'll ask you this. When you look at your own to-do list, what's that one boring quest you've been putting off? What's the first thing you're going to try and conquer using one of these strategies? Pick one, try it out, and just see what happens. You might be surprised.